Hello, today we are going to look at how menu maintenance works. It's important before you start this tutorial to know whether or not your database has been set up with AutoMenus or with menu maintenance. The big differentiator between those two is AutoMenus will allow you to create an item and it will put the button on the screen automatically, whereas menu maintenance is going to give you more flexibility in being able to set up your database. And those that have more robust menus or need more control over where their buttons go on the screen would generally be set up with menu maintenance instead. So know which one you're on before you start this tutorial video. So we are signed into the Future POS back office here, and what we want to do is we want to create an item, and we want to get that button or item to go on the screen as a button so you can push it and you can order an item. So let's take a look at this particular database. So this particular database has pretty much just beverages on it because this one is set up for a bar. So we're going to use this as our example. Now today what we're going to actually do is we're going to add another button into the sodas category here, and we're going to add another juice into the juice category here that's in red. So let's get started. The first thing basically that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go in and create your items in item maintenance. So I already have the back office open. If you don't, you'll have to go ahead and open it up and sign in. And I'm going to go to my dashboard and I'm going to click on items. When you're doing multiple items, it's always good to do your items first and then create your buttons. That way you don't have to go back and forth in between item maintenance and menu maintenance. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to scroll through and I'm going to find my category that was for my sodas. Let's see what we have here. It looks like they're all under Bev Miscellaneous. So I'm just going to grab a Sprite and I am going to create a Dr. Pepper. Copy and paste that. It's going to be the same price. So I'm going to hit File and Save As. And I'm going to click at the end. And now I have Dr. Pepper. I'm also going to find, looks like my juices are also under the same category, miscellaneous, M-I-S-C, as you see here. So I'm just going to grab a pineapple juice, and I'm going to create a pop juice. And we're going to sell that at $4 instead. Hit File and Save As, and do be aware that you see these F2 and F4, those are quick keyboard shortcuts for doing a save or a save as. I would generally just press F4 to do a save as. Clicking at the bottom, backing up, and pasting. Alright, now that I have two items created, we're going to go ahead and open up menu maintenance and put those buttons on the screen. So this is where the bulk of the training for today will be. So underneath your dashboards, you have menu. If you don't happen to have menu on your dashboards, you can always go into maintenance and look for menu under maintenance, and that will open the same thing. Okay, I'm going to click menu. Since I've signed into menu maintenance within the last 15 minutes, it's just going to go ahead and open right up for me, knowing that I still have the security clearance to be able to sign in. So it did sign me right in. So let's go over this. As you can see, when this came up on the screen, it's kind of cutting off my buttons on the bottom. And this is working with Internet Explorer. So I can just grab the bottom of my Internet Explorer and just drag it out so I can make sure I can see my whole screen there, which now I can see my whole screen. So you have a functions bar that's up top here. You have an option to be able to change sections if you have more than one different kind of menu in your site. You have all of your go-to menu buttons down here at the bottom for ordering your stuff, and then all your sell item buttons are right here in the middle. So the first thing is what I'm going to do is just quickly go ahead and create a new button. There are some shortcuts that you can do in order to create this, and I'll show those to you now. So if you see where it says new button, if I just double click on that, it's going to bring up my button creation. So now you can see here what I see, button name, creating the button name for me automatically, and then it's going to create a gray button with no text or formatting on it. So I'm going to show you a quick shortcut on how to get a nice orange button with black text automatically. If you click on and drag a button to a space and save it, and then just move that button back to where it was before and save it, and then you click on your new button, you're going to see here that it says copy format from last saved button. That's why I dragged and moved my button and saved it, so that way I don't have to go through and recreate orange button with black text with this size text and so on from scratch. It just copies all that information. Now what we're going to do is find an existing item to sell. Since we already created the item in the item database, we can just find it to link it to this button. So find an existing item to sell, and we are doing Dr. Pepper. So I'm just going to type in doctor here and either click search over here, or you can just hit enter on the keyboard and it'll go ahead and search your database. Oh, we actually did not change it here. This is searching by department. What we actually want to do is we want to search by item name. And now you can see that the first thing in my list here is Dr. Pepper. I can highlight that. I can click I'm done. And now we have a button basically that says new button on it. But if we were to click it on the POS, it would sell a Dr. Pepper. So I'm just going to go ahead and change the name by clicking in the middle there to Dr. Pepper. If I want a doctor to be on the first line and Pepper to be on the second line, I can type doctor, hit enter, Pepper. Do my capitalizing properly here. Alright, so now I have a Dr. Pepper. And if I hit save button, if I go back to my POS screen and open up my POS screen, you're going to see that that Dr. Pepper showed right up on the screen. So let me go ahead and minimize that back out so I can show you some other things here. So let's say we want to make this Dr. Pepper be in line with Coke, Diet Coke, Ginger Ale, Sprite, and then Dr. Pepper right here. So if I were to click on this button, I can drag this button around and put it into anywhere where you see that pink box. That's where your button is going to land. So I'm just going to move it down here for now. Then I can go ahead and I can click on my Dr. Pepper and I can drag that up here. Just as a caveat here, when you see the hand here on the button, that means that it's either looking for you to do the function to that button, or if you click, you can drag it. But if you do not see that and you see this little line in the center when you're pointing at a button, that means that it's expecting that you want to change the text on that button. So if you have a lot of text on a button, you may have to really click out into that corner of that button in order to be able to drag it out. So for cranberry juice, you can see the line, the blue line that comes up around cranberry juice. I need to be outside that line in order to be able to either double click on that button to change the function of that button, or just to click, hold, and then you can drag from that point going forward. So I'm going to take this soda button. Actually, before, you'll see what it says. Buttons must be saved before they can move. Since I've already moved those once, the system's going to want me to come up here and hit save, and then drag, and then save it again. I always click save all every time that I click save. You also have the options to be able to save from here for just the button that you just created. But it is good practice to go ahead and just save all whenever you do that. That way you don't forget to save things. If you do try to close this screen or try to switch from one screen to another and you have unsaved changes, I'll show you what it basically says here. I'm going to go down to the beer screen, double click here. It says, you have unsaved changes. Would you like to save these changes? And I'm going to click yes, and then it's going to switch to that other screen. So what you just saw me do is switch from one go-to menu screen from another. I have any beverage down here. The same thing applies down here when you're doing the text versus function of the button. If I point towards the center, it's going to assume I want to change the actual text on the button. If I point to the side, my hand will come up, and I can double click on that button and it will switch me from the beer screen to the any beverage screen to the wine screen, so I can independently manage, the things that are on those screens at the same time. So let's say, for example, that you want to change what a button is actually doing. So you have a button on the screen and it's not something that you sell anymore, and you want to change it to something else. Let's go back to our NA beverage screen. beverage screen. There's our any beverage screen. And you can see how I really had to grab the corner of that button in order to be able to get it to go to the screen because it kept thinking that I was trying to change the text there. So let's say, for example, that we're not going to sell just soda anymore, and we want soda to sell Dr. Pepper, and we're just going to get rid of this Dr. Pepper button at the end. So I double click on the button, and what it says is that this button says soda on it, and it sells this item, Bev Miscellaneous Soda. But I want this button to now sell Dr. Pepper. I can click right up in this item, I can click Dr. Pepper, or type Dr. Pepper. I can click on this red X, and then I can come in here and I can use this search that's right here for Doctor, search, and then I'm going to come here, point at my Dr. Pepper, and I'm going to double click on that, and you're going to see that it adds this button is now selling Bev Miscellaneous Dr. Pepper. I click on done. Now that button that used to say soda now says Dr. Pepper. We go back to our screen. We'll go ahead and boom, you actually saw it live change right there. And if I click on Dr. Pepper, I'm going to ring up a Dr. Pepper now. Get rid of that. So let's go back to menu maintenance. If I want to delete this button, I can highlight this button and I can click delete button. Are you sure you want to do that? Yes. Now, if you went ahead and made a mistake and changed that, again, you can always go ahead and click on that button again. We're going to change this back to soda. Click here, get rid of it. Let's go DA, search, and here is my department of any Bev soda. This is a modifier here. You can tell by looking at that because it says Xmod in the front. So I'm going to double click on that. Here's my soda. I'm done. I'll go ahead and put that back up there where it was before, and I'm going to save it. All right, so let's talk about alphabetizing. I'm going to basically unalphabetize this part of the screen real quick so you can see how this works. So if you had just created this grapefruit juice and put it on the screen here, but you wanted that stuff to be all in alphabetical order, what you can do is hold the control button down and you can select everything that's in that category, and then you can click alphabetize descend. And what that will do is everything you clicked on, it will alphabetize it by the name that is on the button. So I hit save, and now all of those items were alphabetized and they were not before. So menu maintenance is designed to work with these 55 cell item buttons that are in the center. It is not designed to work with common menu buttons that you see up here or through the center, or even these buttons down here, which are all function common menu buttons. Do not try to change these buttons using menu maintenance. If you try to change the text on these buttons in menu maintenance, if you delete these buttons in menu maintenance, then those buttons will be gone from just that screen only, but not all the screens. So if you want to work with these buttons, you do have to go under the button functions selection, which we have another tutorial for on the website for button functions and how to change your button functions. Changing your button functions would also include how to create your go-to menus down here, and you just want to make sure that you don't change those buttons using these features. So let's quickly go over what other things you can do here. If I click on a button, I can change what color the button is. If I want to change those buttons independently, I can also go through and put graphic files that we have stored in the system for different buttons themselves. So if you are trying to put any of the logo buttons, like you see here, on things, so for example, let's actually do one here. I got a Coke. Let's click on it, and let's put the Coke logo on that button. Coca-Cola. I can click here and I can actually get rid of the text that's going over the top of the button. Let's do Diet Coke. Let's do Sprite. As you can see, we also have many different beers that are built into the default of the system as well. So get rid of the logo. Alright, so now I have Coke, Diet Coke, and Sprite. At the end, I'm going to click Save All, and those little icons, those save icons went away. I'll show you that little save icon. You can see the icon right here. It says this button has unsaved changes. Save that and just move it back to where it was before. Save all. You also can change the text color. You can see that the text color here is black. So if I wanted to change the text color to white, I can just change it. I can change whether or not the words are bold. I can change the size of the text and the type of the text that's on there. So there's lots of different options that you have here for what it is that you can do with how the buttons are going to end up looking. Changing it all back to the way it was before and saving it. And I think that just about covers everything on the menu maintenance tutorial. If you have any questions on this, or it's the first time you've used it and you need some additional information, feel free to give us a call at support or check out our other tutorials that are also on the YouTube portal. Thank you.